Welcome, everyone. I'm Shashi Tripathi, chair of the Global IIT 2026 conference. And it's an absolute distinct pleasure to have Preity Upala here with me as part of our podcast, Road to IIT 2026 and beyond. Welcome, Preity.
Namaste, Shashi, and namaste to your wonderful audience. It's such a pleasure to be on your show with you today.
Thank you, Preeti. So, just for the benefit of our audience, Preeti, share a little bit about who Preeti Upala is.
What a journey it has been. So, I am Preity Upala, grew up in Dubai, uh, b- uh, born and brought up in Dubai, grew up in the Middle East, lived in Europe, immigrated to Australia, and then finally immigrated here to the US. So, I see myself as a global citizen. I started my life in the corporate world. I'm a former recovering investment banker and a management consultant. But then I moved into the world of entertainment, media, and politics. So Hollywood and Bollywood. I'm been modeling for many years. I'm a former Miss India International as well. And these days, I work in the film industry, of course, as an artist, but also as a presenter. I speak around the world. I'm very honored to have done that in over 25 countries. I have this unique ability where I merge uh, like foreign policy, technology, business, leadership together. So I'm able to speak on these things. I'm very passionate about spirituality and philosophy, especially Indian philosophy and Indian spirituality. And I speak and write about this. I have my own podcast as well. I'm pitching some shows right now to Hollywood. So hopefully you'll see me on the big screen. But I have my own company called the Omnia Group. And we basically work with governments, private clients, leaders, entrepreneurs. And again, I'm the intersection of media, politics, and entertainment. So I think a lifelong desire and passion of traveling around to 100 countries has given me this amazing sort of worldview and this cultural sensibilities that I bring with me no matter what I do. And I think that's unique about me and also of Omnia, to be able to really have this amazing worldview and know really how we can all communicate with each other and how we can connect with each other. And I think right now is as good a time as any to kind of come together as a humanity and find our core purpose and find our soul, I think.
Very cool. Very cool, Preeti. My God, so many things. When do you sleep?
I should be getting more beauty sleep, I have to admit. I don't get enough.
So, Preeti, I have to ask this question. You're coming to speak at this global IIT conference in April 22nd through 25th. What intrigued you about even accepting to come speak for us at the conference?
So, firstly, I'm always honored when someone approaches me because I think it's not every day that you get asked for. Even though I've again had the privilege of speaking to like 25 different countries with different markets and environments and on different topics, it's just people want to hear from my life experience and expertise, how my mind and my heart. Like, I'm always so honored. I think that this. US India relationship is so pivotal for the world
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. I
Mm-hmm.
think two most consequential countries moving forward are the US and India. And I think Indian Americans are really poised so well to kind of drive that conversation forward. And I think we are privileged. We live in such exciting times where we can actually build that narrative. We can push momentum towards that direction, I think. And these two great democracies will come together. And I really think there's so much there that they can do together in terms of global governance and just trying to find the global pulse, so to speak. So any opportunity that I get that I can maybe comment or discuss or facilitate a discussion in that area, I'm so excited. So when this opportunity came to speak at this amazing conference, specifically focusing on that, the India US, how do we get closer? How do we work together for the kind of as a force multiplier and for the greater good of the world? I thought I cannot let this opportunity slide, and I just kind of jumped full on. So I'm very excited about it.
Nice, Preeti. So I just spoke to one of my friend at McKinsey, and he says, I mean, he speaks to large CEOs and many government organizations, and I asked him, what are the two key trends you are watching? And he said AI and geopolitical issues.
Yes.
And I see you are speaking in both of those topics. So I want to hear your thought about in the current modern landscape we see geopolitical, how important that is, and how what lens you are seeing the geopolitics in the world today, and how it's impacting our life, Preeti.
Great question. So, who would have thought that geopolitics of everything, out of everything, has this impact on all of our lives, every single person, and in every area of life, whether it's sport or art, health, technology, education. You can't divorce, I think, the you can't divorce geoeconomics or geopolitics. And I've been speaking about this for years. And when I first started talking about it, it was really a very new trend, and people didn't even understand what geopolitics meant and all of that interesting stuff. But now it's very much at the forefront. So and then because of technology, social media, I think we've moved past social media now. Now really it's AI, right? So these two things now they've converged. I think it's happened. So is the real question is, how do we manage both, and also together, the convergence, how does that affect all of us? It is so pivotal, I think, especially for in like great power politics, which is big nations and their hustle for global dominance and or global hegemony, or how do they make sure that their country is relevant and at really at the top of their region, at least. So these they have to care about these things. I think one of the greatest trends moving forward is going to be this shift into multipolarity. So if the multipolar world. So if someone asked me, what's like the future trend that we cannot escape? What's coming up for our planet? I would say we are shifting into the world of the multipolar order. Now, there are some detractors to this, and there are people who don't think it'll happen. There are people who don't believe that it's kind of happening already, but it is. I think we're in between the different types of realities. We're about to move into this multipolar world. And I think India is very much at the crux of this multipolar new global order. And it's exciting. It's very challenging. It comes with a whole array of challenges and issues that every country has to deal with. But a country like India, a rising power like India, definitely has great opportunities, but it comes with great responsibility and also great challenges. So it'll have to really prove to the world that it deserves that place. And I
Yep.
think it's gearing up for it, and we can see it.
Yep, I agree with you. Um, so when you are analyzing this, I'll stay on that geopolitical topic. When you are analyzing geopolitical shift, which are reshaping our life, reshaping the opportunity for next generation to happen. There are many things going on right now at the world level: AI, energy, defense, demographic power. There's so much power shift going on. Which one of all, in your view, Preeti, is important? at our level, at the humanity, at the community level, how what kind of advice you would have to community as well as to leaders?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think this shift to the multipolar world is, I think, the big trend. And with that
Mm.
trend comes, I think it affects AI, it
Mhm.
affects defense, alliances. I will
Mhm.
say this. I think this Indian foreign policy of strategic autonomy, non-alignment, which it has had for over 75 years, and a lot of people would snuff at that because they didn't understand why a country would choose that strategy. Well, I think that really is the only strategy moving forward, because you can't just be in a camp. You're going to have your own interpersonal relationships with every country, and no one is agreeing on anything, on everything. I think you're going to have many, many disagreements, and great nations are going to not agree on everything. So that's a big trend. I think that's sort of, and the multipolarity really kind of lends itself to countries kind of being, standing up for their own national interests, trying to, trying to work for the greater good of the world. Hopefully, states are responsible, but AI is affected, technology is affected, military, nuclear. That's a huge thing that so far I think the world is kind of contained. Well, no longer is that going to be the case. Nuclear energy, even nuclear power as well, and energy needs. And how does the world deal with energy needs? What are the future sources of energy that are sustainable? And how can we all kind of make this work for everybody? So I think that multipolar trend informs AI, defense, alliances, technology. And you mentioned demography. I think demography is so key because there's a demographic shift happening in the world,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
every country is going through its own journey,
Yes.
up, down, sideways. I think some countries like India is on the winning side of that, I would say, but then others like Japan, South Korea, China, very much at they're not, they're on the other side of advantage, I think, and they know that. So time is very limited in that way. And then the West is sort of, um, birth rates are falling. We have great immigration of all kinds, which is ultimately a strength, but you have to make it a strength. I must work for your country, in every way. So there's many, many issues that are going to come from this, but it's all related to that multipolar shift. And the makeup of the world is going to change. Like, I think, the second half of this century is very much well, it's the Asian century firstly, but beyond that it's going to be the Indian century. I talk about these concepts a lot, so, and I'm sure we'll speak on that, like, in our conversation.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, I'm so happy you touched on some of the further detail. And it's interesting how the world is changing in front of our eyes with all those things you mentioned about. One other topic also, speaking to this friend from McKinsey, is AI. And I know you also talk quite a bit about AI. My first question to you is, how do you view AI? I mean, we are seeing so much of AI, and there's some reality, there's some fluff, there's some nervousness, some anxiety, some excitement. It's like mix of all. How do you see Preeti AI?
Yeah, that is the trillion-dollar question. They used to say that data is the new oil. it
Mhm.
it is, in a way. Well, then AI is really the new energy. Like, it's runs whoever wins the AI game will rule the world. It's about as simple as that. And and I think that should tell you where countries should be focusing, where some countries are already focusing. I was very privileged to give this amazing talk in Singapore on AI and the dangers of AI recently, and we had representatives from the UAE, from Singapore, from India, from the US. And it was my biggest question was, are your countries ready for this shift? How are you guys preparing for it? And they each had their own analysis, their own, like, where they're at. And I mean, these countries that I just mentioned, they are really taking AI so seriously, and they're ready. They're like, bring it on, we're ready. And they're ready to dominate their regions, they're ready to dominate the world. They want to definitely be on the winning side of this. So ultimately, the way I personally look at it, it's a tool, and it should be treated as a tool. We created it. I don't think we want a situation where the tool consumes us. It shouldn't be running us. We should be using it ultimately to make the world a better place, to make our lives better, so that it can take care of mundane tasks, so that we can actually get to the core of who we are as human beings, our purpose, our path, happiness, joy, connection, all the beautiful human qualities and the beautiful human experiences that we're supposed to have, including the spiritual and the philosophical. But what has happened, though, is that we've realized that this AI is limitless, and not in a good way, per se. It can go anywhere, and it's starting to take a life of its own. If it goes unchecked, unregulated, it can turn into the Frankenstein that nobody wants. And then there are people who want to treat our world as a science lab and actually experiment with it to push the envelope and see how far we can go. And that could have disastrous consequences. So I think we need very, very responsible leaders taking care of this particular technology. And we need people to, I think, try to find the morality within themselves to be responsible with the use of it. And also for the future entrepreneurs, innovators, developers, they must think about ways in which they can use AI to make the world better, not to make it more sinister, because it can very easily go in that direction. And I think some people, they probably get a kick out of that, to see how far this thing can go. And I don't think it will end well for us. So I think we need responsibility. We need evolved leaders, evolved countries taking charge of this. We're not quite seeing that yet, but I believe in the next 5-10 years we will see more, I think, an elevated response to AI.
So you just said next 5, 10 years, and you also added more elevated responsible AI. Why? What? Explain more. What kind of things in your mind you are envisioning in next 5 year AI is going to do, which which puts a pressure on the human society and human leaders to be more responsible. Can you just break that down? What elements you are thinking which begs the more question to put more responsible AI?
Well, AI has now changed the game completely. So
Mm,
on some level, it's like everybody's on a level playing field, because you can be a small country, but if you got, technologically, if you're in sync with the rest of the developed world and the great powers, suddenly now you're at the table. Now you can play ball with them in a way that you couldn't before. So it is good in that way. But then, these things can go awry very, very easily. Now, in the sort of panels and sessions that I've spoken at, the one area that people don't talk about is warfare and conflict, global conflict, nuclear conflict, symmetrical warfare, asymmetrical warfare, like the nature of combat in the future. I think technology, AI, drones, all this is uh, coming into play already. We're seeing it. I think now parades are going to have drones now instead of the tanks and the bombers. Who cares about the bombers? Just bring all your drone stuff. And suddenly the countries, and we can see who these countries are, who really have their drone game up on, they're doing a great job with that. They suddenly have this huge edge. I think the future war may not even be human to human. It might just be the drones, the the robots, or the equipment themselves fighting, interacting, all of that. And obviously that also opens up things for malfunctions. And I mean, you can turn on yourself in that way. Do you even, I mean, we're joking about this, but like, you might think your own side is the enemy. Like these, if you get just get a little bit of rewiring done, so things can go very wrong very, very quickly. I mean, that's an
Yeah,
kind of extreme case, but is it really? I don't know. I think we're at very interesting times in humanity where there's a World War III looming. It's like we're two steps away from it, two wrong moves, and suddenly this global conflict is very much a reality. And I hope that doesn't happen. But all experts will tell you, and I've been talking about this for a while. We have a few years, but we're all expecting a global conflict. Now, the nature of that conflict is questionable, whether it's a nuclear nature, or it's more this technological thing, or is it just info warfare, cyber warfare, uh, people sort of like human warfare, I guess. Not so much military army, but like in many other ways, like just our spirits are at war with each other, which is, I think, the
yeah.
most dangerous one. So somehow AI affects all of these, and people are not thinking about that. They're only thinking about how can I cut costs, and do I need to employ 100 people? I can just have this one thing do. So interesting times ahead indeed.
Yes, no, I totally agree. And I will have to ask this, Preeti. There's two schools of thoughts when it comes to AI. There are some who are very optimistic about AI, and there are some pessimistic. Which camp are you in, Preeti?
This is amazing. I call myself an optimistic realist.
Okay.
So I'm both. I am pragmatic. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
realpolitik is where it's at. You have to be aware, mature about this. But at my core, I'm such a hopeful person. I hope the best. And I have so much faith in humanity, and the faith in just the universal sort of, when you look at the world and life in a spiritual perspective, I know that it's all going to work out for the best. I really do believe in that. So I think uh, you have to be very cautious, be prepared, but hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. So I think an optimistic realist is what I call myself.
I think
And
you answered my next question, which was the message to each camp. But I will ask them, but you did answer the message to the optimistic. Do you have any message to those who are pessimistic about AI?
I think, whatever we put our attention to multiplies. So the fear mongering is not a good idea. We have to discuss these very real threats, but I think we need to do it in a evolved way, in a mature way, and ultimately coming together to find solutions rather than trying to find a way to manipulate it or leverage this kind of technology for in much more sinister ways. So I think you must, love and hope are more powerful than fear and hate always. So fall back on those higher emotions, I think, and it'll take you further in life.
Pretty. So I'll transition maybe a little bit on the your leadership and soft skills area. And I was doing some research about you, Preeti, before this podcast. And as you pointed out as part of your intro, you have been an investment banker. You had connection to Hollywood. You have connection to Bollywood. You speak on geopolitical issues. You're a global media. You own a media company. You advise government. Was there any defining moment when you realized your voice truly belonged to the world stage?
It's so funny when I look back on my journey. I don't think there was a one single moment. It was a sequence of very sort of magical, sporadic events. One thing led to the other. All I had to do was to be fearless, to follow my instinct, follow my intuition and just go with it and have complete trust in life itself that it would work out. And I did that from a very young age, all the way in Sydney, Australia. My first step, when I knew that there was probably something more in my life, in for my life purpose, than being in some working in some bank in Australia. I just felt like my gifts, my skills were better suited to doing something a little bigger. And I think just that thought opened me up to amazing opportunities. And when they were presented to me, I jumped at the chance. So that's my other advice to anybody. I think when life offers you an incredible opportunity, just take it. Even if you don't know how things are going to work out. When I moved
That
from Australia to the US, I didn't know how. I mean, I bought a one-way ticket, a tiny suitcase. I had never been to the States. I had never been to LA, never knew anybody here. And I literally just bought a one-way ticket, hopped on a plane, and here I was. And the rest is truly history, how things have happened. But I've always believed in the magic of life, and that's taken me. So no big event, I would say, but I think a lot of kind of individual magical events that ultimately there's a thread of like a follow through there, and they all connect. All these moments definitely connect.
definitely pretty. Completely agree with that. You being a woman, navigating this all kinds of business to media to brand. Um, do you have any advice for women who are navigating our society in modern days?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's funny, all the industries that I've ever been involved in, even though
Mm-hmm.
they're so diverse, you know, investment banking,
Mm-hmm.
management consulting, then Hollywood, media, politics, government, technology, podcasting now. They're all heavily male dominated. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of dudes usually, young, old, whatever, across the board, I guess. And I have always held my own. I have always been welcome, been appreciated, supported, applauded, because one, I am sincere about this. I am serious about it. Two, I take the time to inform myself, read up on it, do my research. I'm well informed. I know my things inside out. You have to be an expert in it. You have to have some kind of expertise. And the more kind of knowledgeable you are, I think people will really take you seriously. And then just hold your own, back up your points. You must have evidence, be scientific about it, and I think bring what is unique to women, maybe the diplomatic capacity, or just even their voice and how they speak and the softness, all of that. If you bring that together, combine it with the knowledge, I think people will take you seriously. Like, I've had so many examples where I'm on a panel, it's me and six other men, half of them are twice my age, and we start the panel, and I don't know what they're thinking about me, but towards the end of it, they're all congratulating me, and they're like, yeah, yeah, what she said, perfectly articulated, and they want to take photos with me and get my information to invite me to another summit, and I'm not trying, I'm just being myself. But I think you should uh, be a person that someone wants to respect and someone wants to listen to. And trust me, men are quite supportive, and they will really, I think they look forward to something different and something refreshing. I think they're just looking for the right kind of person who has that capacity and capability.
Well said, actually. I mean, I feel that. I mean, I welcome women part of my team and wherever I have, even in this conference, by the way, Preeti, part of my organizing team, we have many women. When we are designing our panel, we are very conscious about bringing women to the panel, to the speaking. So men are generally supportive, generally, I think. Um, I'll have some rapid fire questions for you, Preeti. Who's your favorite Hollywood actor or performer?
Marlon Brando.
Okay, wow, going that old. Um, Bollywood actor or actress.
Anupam Kher.
Anupam Kher.
Yes.
Wow,
So
wow,
I'm old school. I'm here for talent. Yeah.
very cool. One idea that will define for next 20 years.
Dharma.
Karma.
Dharma in all of its facets. It's all of in all of its versions and faces. So both dharma in the sense of purpose, but also dharma in the context of doing the right thing. And I think the next 20 years we will be challenged to do the right thing, find your purpose, find your truth, and then live that.
One leadership trait that is overrated.
Oh, the visionary, the mad scientist, the genius, like who I'm sorry, but if you don't know how to deal with people, manage a team, have integrity, have a moral compass, no one cares about the your geniusness. In the past, we got away with it. Moving forward, I don't think that's going to fly.
So, besides US, China, and India, which other country to watch for in the next 5 years?
There are a few. Russia, don't underestimate it ever. UAE is up and coming, tiny nation, but it's very innovative, very interesting. And purely for demographic reasons, Indonesia. Look out for that.
Any book you would recommend for people like us to read?
Yeah, The Alchemist.
Okay,
It's
explain.
it, it's not a business book, but it's a book on fate and destiny. And I think you have to believe in the magic of life. And now more than ever, we need magic in the world and in our hearts. So that book inspires you to believe in the magic of the universe. And certainly that's the way I've lived my life.
Are you more optimistic or realistic about humanity?
I'm an optimistic realist about humanity. I think it'll all work out, but we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's very true. Any message you have for our global IIT attendees, those who have already signed up to attend, and those who are almost on the verge thinking whether I should come or not come? Any message to those two camp, Preeti?
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this conference because I think at the forefront, at the core of this is what I like to call the global Indian. And this is the diaspora, but you could also be living in India and be very much a global Indian. So the future is going to be the global Indian competing with America, competing with China, competing with Europe, competing with the Middle East. And I think all of us, the diaspora, like IIT graduates, no matter where you are in the world, you're a part of that entity, that contingent. And I'd say it's so competitive, gifted, brilliant, talented, they're full of potential. And if they all come together, they can really make a big difference. I feel like every person who is this global Indian is, whether they like it or not, is a walking ambassador for India in a way, and for the Indian story, for the Indian spirit, for the Indian essence. I know when I have traveled to 100 countries, I've carried that with me in my soul, my DNA, and actually the way that the world interacts with me, that's what they see, and that's really what they're connecting to. So you can't like escape from that. So you are this ambassador whether you want this job or not, so you might as well take it in stride, and I think put forward your best face and you're the best self, because there is a best self there, and which I don't think is really that visible to the world yet. I think it's coming up a little bit, but we need to, that should be like, we should be so loud, I think. So young people who are thinking of coming to this conference, you're a part of this entity. So come and you'll connect with people. But whether you come or not, just know that you have this enormous responsibility. And that's how the world sees you, and they will interact with you, and their interaction with you is going to inform them of many, many things. And I think it is your responsibility to make sure they come away thinking, wow, this is a great group, great culture, great civilization, good people. I want to be a part of this. How do we get more of this in the world? Like I dream for that, you know.
Very nice, Preeti. It's such a pleasure to even talk to you, Preeti. For the audience, once again, Preity Upala, I'm Shashi Tripathi. We are hosting this global conference. By this is once in a year we host it. While this is hosted by IITians, anyone is welcome to attend and anyone is welcome to speak. We want to be inclusive. Um, some amazing speakers are coming. Check them out on our website, iit2026.org. Please register. This will be in beautiful coastal town in Long Beach, SoCal. So bring your family, bring your kids, your wife, your spouse, your husband. Come join us in SoCal from April 22nd through 25th. The website is iit2026.org. And Preeti, thank you so much once again for being part of this journey with us.
Thank you. Namaste. Dhanyawad.